lovely people, I really wanted to make this video because if you haven't noticed, rage is quite a pivotal theme in this year for many of us, right? And for a long time, we've been taught that rage is something that we need to fear, is something that we need to suppress, put in the back corners, not react to, right? Keeping us in this good girl archetypal box that does everything, that the systems that we have grown up in, the systems that we're aware of, you know, in this day and age, keep us confined to. It's far from the truth, right? That's far from the truth. Like with all emotions, rage is a symptom of something that runs way deeper. One of the reasons that this feeling is rising up in a lot of us is because we are going through such a huge transition collectively, right? Where we are seeing the dismantling of systems that have been in place for thousands of years. And my opinion here is the reason that we see this rage and the rage associated to the feminine is because these systems have been built off of wounded masculine archetypal energy, right? And so in order for us to counteract that and to move into the next stage of evolution, the next stage of humanity, we really need to see this uprising of feminine energy, this fierce rage, like unapologetic, chaotic, you know, really just doesn't give a fuck energy to come in and break these systems down. And I think that this is what we are experiencing on a collective level, on an individual level. Rage is showing up in many different ways, and this is not something that we need to hide away. This is not something that we need to suppress. This is something that we need to learn how to work alongside. We need to learn how to alchemize it into embodied action to help us reclaim our power. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how exactly we can do this, right? I'm going to give 5 steps where we can really go through the process of being triggered, experiencing that rage, and then coming to a point where we can use that into embodied action in our lives. Step 1, you need to accept that your rage is valid, right? Like I said before, for too long, we have been taught that our rage is unjustified, that it doesn't deserve to be there, that we are being over the top if we give in to that primal feeling. And that's just not the truth. For a lot of us, when that rage comes up, it's a symptom of reaction to something unjust within our lives. But in order for us to start working with that feeling, the first step in this process of alchemy is accepting to yourself that it's there. Accepting that it is okay to feel angry. It's okay to be pissed off. It's okay to feel that burning up, right? It doesn't make you anything. So we really need to take away the self-judgment for feeling angry, making ourselves feel like it is making us too big if we feel these big emotions, because it's just not the truth. So step 1 is accepting and acknowledging that your rage is there. Second step in this process is, now that we've accepted that the rage is there, we need to allow ourselves to feel the rage all the way through. This is not a thinking process. This is a bringing ourselves back to the body process, right? So what I like to do, and I'm going to talk you through what I do when I feel big emotions, is I tend to sit with it. I don't ask myself why I'm feeling like this right now. I just sit with it and allow it to come up in whatever way it needs to. Now, I'm a big overthinker, right? So if you're an overthinker like me, what I find really helpful is movement. I'll start to sway my hips, I'll start to sway my body. Even if I feel like a little dance, even when I'm angry, right? Just put on a track that really amps you up so that you start to feel that. If you feel like you need to have a release, if you feel like you need to punch a pillow, if you need to scream, this is all okay. As long as you're not hurting yourself or anyone else, it's okay to have these big expressions of emotion. And in actual fact, it's super healthy, because we know that when we hold in emotions in our bodies, they show up in other ways, right? So we really need to allow ourselves, again, a safe space, a judgmental free space, to be able to feel this rage, to be able to feel everything it brings up. If it makes us cry, if it makes us laugh, if it makes us just scream, just ourselves a moment to feel that. Now, this part of the process can take a while, and it really depends on what it is that has happened and how big of a trigger this has come up. It could take a few minutes, it could take a few hours. You may need to come back and do this several times over the course of the day, but really, really use your own intuition, use your own discernment to feel when the pit of that feeling has kind of been felt, really like taking off the cream of the feeling, so that we can work with what that feeling is telling us. Once we have felt it all the way through and we feel comfortable and we've given ourselves love, time, compassion, no judgment in that process, this is when we start to look into the reasons why. What has happened that has made us feel like this, okay? Have we been overstepping our own boundaries? Have we been accepting something from someone that really, really just does not resonate with the truth of who we are, right? Have we been shrinking ourselves in certain situations? It is that has made us feel the way it is. And again, this is no judgment, and it's the best way that you're going to get the best results with this, even if it's really, really difficult, is to be 100% honest with yourself, which can be really, really hard because in my experience, a lot of times when I feel really, really angry, often initially we want to project it onto someone else and say, oh, they did this, they did that. But a lot of times I feel that I get so triggered when it is me that is abandoning myself. I'm gonna give one piece of advice that I have found really helpful just in this process is that have that honesty with yourself and try, even if some things, you don't bear the responsibility of everything that happens to you in life, but ultimately we only have responsibility for ourselves. So sometimes we may find ourselves in a really unjust situation that really, really is beneath what we deserve here in life, right? What we deserve, okay? But when I have looked at the responsibility that I have by getting myself into that situation, that's really when I can find more of the helpful action that is going to really, really help me reclaim my power, rather than look at the other people in the situation, because I cannot do anything about them. It's really about looking at how you can tighten your boundaries, how you can preserve your energy, how you can direct where you place yourself. That is really, really going to be helpful in this process. But it's, again, can be really difficult, And so it's really, really important with anything to just always hold it without judgment, without compassion. Remember that you're human, remember that you're learning, you're growing, and if you're taking the time to do a process like this, you're doing amazing. You're doing so well, because this stuff isn't easy, it's not easy. As much as it seems like a 10-minute process on YouTube, it can be really, really difficult to go through. So just really, really be proud of yourself for looking into this. So 4 in this process is now really acknowledge your place in the collective landscape. Like I said before, rage is coming up for many, many of us. And this isn't by accident. This is because we're going through a huge, huge transformation. But like with any transformation, any evolution, healing process, the real work takes place in our individual lives, because wherever that rage is manifesting in our individual lives is shedding light on certain things, certain behaviors, certain systems, ways of being that need to be dismantled. The more that we look at how it is showing up in our individual lives and work to use that rage to dismantle that, the more that we contribute to the collective landscape. Now, you got to think how many people are going through this rage, right? I always get chills when I think about if everyone looks at that rage in their lives and sees this, how things will crumble down, how things are going to crumble down. So this is really just recognizing how much power we all truly fucking hold if we just look at what's going on in our individual lives, right? It is something of magic. So really, really recognize your place here, really recognize your power here, right? The final step in this is, now that we have felt everything all the way through, now that we have figured out where the root of this rage is coming in, this is where we have to decide what embodied action we are going to take. What have we learned? Is it something that we need to show up more in our truth? Are we abandoning ourselves by not fully going in on certain creative processes? How can we navigate this within our practices? You know, really deciphering all of the information that we found from the root, and figuring out that one step. And it doesn't have to be loads of things. I would just advise taking one really, really strong step, because it is hard, okay? And deciding how that is going to show up now in your life, how you are now going to take what you have learned and fully embody your truth, and fully find yourself reclaiming your power. So this is the thing, like, our rage really highlights our power, right? And you know that force that you feel, and I know that you feel that force, is when you understand that deep force and understand how to work alongside that, it really can bring certain structures and situations, certain ways of being in your life come down. It is a force that is so sacred and just an amazing portal for any woman, for any man to utilize when we really understand the true nature of how to transmute it. Okay, so that was everything on rage and how to work with rage. Of course, if you have any questions about this process, about anything at all, you know I'm always here. Send me a comment, send me an email, contact me on social media. You've got me. I always forget to say that my name is Sophia Audrey Johnson, and if you have liked this video, please, I would love to see you subscribe and just let me know your thoughts. I'm sending you so much love, and have a lovely day. Thank you for giving me your time. Peace.